All right, everyone. Welcome back to our second episode of Almost Irish Podcast. I guess that's what we decided on, right?
Yeah.
I've never been around people like who could not decide. Like, do you ever go, I want to go, where do you want to eat? I don't care. Like, those conversations are shitty enough as it is, but trying to come up with
You do that though. You do that. You go, I'll say to you, what do you want to eat? You go, I don't know. What do you want to eat, mate? And I go, fucking, I'm not even hungry. You said you were hungry. What do you want? Me and Mick went golfing. And I said to him, what do you want for lunch? And he just didn't answer me. He just like walked away. I was like, the fuck is wrong with you? So he's rallying against exactly who he is. And this is what life is like with Mick Thomas.
Oh, you cunt, I spit all over my computer.
We were all guilty of it because like the name of a podcast, in one way it's like, well, it could be for a long time. I don't want to be stuck with this bullshit name. But at the same time, it's like, who cares? Doesn't matter.
No one's listening to this show because of the name. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
My other podcast is called Tremendously Awkward. And it was because somebody told us, basically, I had a video show I do that we do on a website. And they were like, we're naming you Tremendously Awkward. And that's the only reason our podcast is called. We had no input as to what we were naming our podcast.
That's good though, because you might pull in like the a mental health crowd by accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They'll be listening like, oh shit, these guys are worse than we are. And they're just super happy to not be.
That's why our new name is going to be the BLM Dan Mick McBarry podcast.
The BDSM Fanboys Club.
Yes.
So how was everyone's Christmas?
Lonely.
Yeah. Right?
I want to hear Dan's first. Dan, were you all alone?
I mean, my mom came by, my buddy Tom came by, but like, it's weird. Like I come from a big family, so big family Christmases are always like, everyone in the world's there, and you watch kids open presents for 2.5 hours, and
it's fucking awful.
Yeah, I made lasagna, and I watched Home Alone. That's all. It was nice though. I can't complain. I'm not unhappy. Just it was weird.
Definitely a different Christmas for everybody than previous years. This was the first year where my parents were like, because we always do a family thing on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day we'll do like just the immediate family at the house. Like Christmas Day is the quiet day. Christmas Eve we kind of go out a little bit more. And I asked them, I was like, so what's the plan for Christmas Eve? And they're like, you don't even have to come over if you don't want. And I'm always trying to avoid family shit, but when I heard that, I was like, maybe I'll stop by for a little while.
What did I do wrong?
They're going to talk about me the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what are they going to say about me?
Yeah.
How about you, Mick? What did you do?
No, it was just like it was kids. You just sit there with a big trash bag ready, and just they go up in it, and it's like, oh, it's a lot of that, like, ooh.
What did Santa get you?
Yeah. Oh, I knew you wanted that, right? And you try to persuade your kid that that's what they were wanting all along. No, I wanted. No, it was Princess Leia's spaceship, not like. And so then I watched Wonder Woman, which is the greatest crock of shit ever.
You hate women, Mick. We get it.
It's just like it's the worst movie I've seen from DC ever. The Wonder Woman, shit.
They made some real stinkers. That's a big statement. I feel like,
yeah,
really bad. Even Laurie Palmentary, comedian, who's been using my password to get into this stuff.
She's a comedian. She can't afford HBO Max on her own.
Yeah, right. So we were chatting. Actually, when me and Dan went to play golf the other day, I called Laurie on the way there, and she was like, "Yeah, I really like the first Wonder Woman." And I was like, even though it was a ripoff of Captain America, the first Wonder Woman movie was like, "Yeah, I really like the first one." This one was just dog shit from start to finish. Dog shit.
I liked the first Wonder Woman, but I can only remember like 3 scenes. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those superhero movies where it's like they hit all the right points. You have feelings during the movie, but overall, they're all very similar films. You know what I mean? They are kind of like the same movie.
Yeah, they're all somewhat formulaic, and then it's just about eating popcorn. And then leaving the movie being like, that was a fucking cool scene. Like
that's why Endgame was great, because even though we knew we're like, all right, we're gonna get the win eventually, it's like, oh, this is a cool, like, kind of never been felt before thing in a superhero movie.
Yeah, Captain America grabbing the hammer. It's like, oh shit. And then Avengers Assemble. That was it. That's like we're like, this is the movie now.
Yes, but with Wonder Woman, it was Like it was set in 1984, and we get it. It was in the 80s. Like here's my point, right? If you and I, all three of us walked into a mall today, you couldn't tell. Like if I said to you, I had this t-shirt back, this t-shirt's like 15 years old, or these jeans are 10 years old, you would go, oh shit, I didn't know that, right? So everybody is on the height of fashion in 1984. Every man's sleeves are rolled up, every single guy in it. And then here's the thing, right? Wonder Woman is in the opening scene. What I mean by Wonder Woman, as in with the outfit. And then you do not see her again as Wonder Woman, because I paused it for 1 hour and 27 minutes later. So that's an hour and a half. Imagine watching Batman and only for an hour and a half, you're watching Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but Bruce Wayne can't really do. I mean, he does do some cool shit, but I bet we see Gal Gadot doing crazy Wonder Woman shit, just not wearing.
Yeah, like she's still fighting.
Nope.
Yeah, she's still doing shit, right?
Nope. And not at all. And then the boyfriend comes back. The boyfriend comes back. I'm not spoiling anything because it's in the trailer. And he's like, oh, the 80s. I'm only used to fighting in World War II. I remember when I was 6 years old and I went out to a ferry terminal and they had an escalator. I did not know what an escalator was, but I stood there and I went, all right, I stand on that and it probably takes me up. This guy was like, whoa. And she was like, don't worry, we'll get through this together. It was dog shit.
But have you seen clips of people recently getting in escalators? Like there are YouTube clips now of people who have never seen an escalator.
Like Eastern Europe.
Yeah, like who freaked the fuck out at being.
Everyone's going up and they're all just like, ah!
Yeah, they're holding on and like one leg's going up and they're just like.
You're thinking of Elf.
No, it's a real. I'm not even kidding. I'm not just making fun of Eastern European people again. I'm just saying
again.
Yeah.
Although it is true, I feel like I've shared this tidbit of information a lot recently, which is weird. There's some sort of weird glitch in my life matrix where I keep telling people this tidbit of information. But back in like the 40s or whenever it was that they introduced escalators, they actually paid people to go out and just use them, just to like show the public, like, see how easy it is. You just stand on it. It's not dangerous, blah, 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 because people wouldn't fuck with them.
They've been around since the 40s?
They've been around a long time.
Yeah. Wow.
They're just mechanical moving stairs. I mean, it's a.
Yeah, but still,
it's a pretty cool.
Here was my problem with Wonder Woman. Why not Wonder Man? Okay.
Yeah, we need a victory.
Why
That's what Superman is.
Woman?
That's what Superman is.
No, Wonder Woman can't fly, Mick.
She can, Dan. In this one, Dan, she flies and then doesn't fly in any other movie later. Considering it's set in 1984, she's flying backwards with her hands like this. No bullshit. Just flying through the clouds like they stole that whole Robin Williams Peter Pan thing. That whole down to a T, and she's flying. And then you think, wait a minute, Batman versus Superman, she didn't fly. Justice League, she didn't fly. Wonder Woman, she didn't fly. I'm like,
she lost the ability in the 80s. Everyone knows that, Mick.
Yeah, but I
don't think flight was invented until the 80s. The Wright brothers were like 76. So they wouldn't even have the idea for superheroes to fly until man would accomplish it.
We were on trains up until 1975. Everyone knows that, Mick.
But here's my point, all right, about like shitty, like, don't they know that there are people, like, doesn't someone have to approve that and go, yeah, that's it? Like, you look at The Mandalorian, right? And I like Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars fan, right? I know about them. I know all the characters. But if they can write that piece of genius, like, don't those people exist and go, all right, why can't we get someone like that to do this? Do you know what I mean?
Especially because, and with all due respect to The Mandalorian, but like, those shows are just the tropes that we love to see. And they're executed well. You know what I mean? Mandalorian isn't really breaking crazy new ground.
It's Gunsmoke. You're watching Gunsmoke. That's all you're watching. You're watching an old cowboy movie with just the space element. That's it. I go into a town. I meet someone. The show is entirely about a guy meeting new best friends every single episode.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
One episode is like it's Seven Samurai. I come to the town during my travels. I like do some shit for the town. It's like, see you later. Maybe you'll be a guest spot next season.
Yeah, can't wait till you're a callback.
Don't say anything transphobic on Twitter.
Here's what bothered me about the Star Wars world, like with the Mandalorian. They're looking for somebody, right? So let's say this week they're looking for Dennis Rooney, and they go, "Hey, I'm looking for Dennis Rooney." And go, "Oh yeah, he's in a bar on Alderaan," and they just show up out of like if you said. like these are planets, by the way. These are not towns, right? So if you said like, "Hey, we're on other planets," like, "Where's Dennis Rooney?" "Oh, he's in a bar on Earth." "All right, fucking where? Thailand, Australia? Like, where? Can you narrow it down a bit?" And they show up outside the bar.
Do you think what Mandalorian was missing was addresses? Is that what you think the problem is?
Can you give me the exact address on
What are
that?
the coordinates?
Yeah, but he's never like, "All right, go ahead. Make a left that way." "All right." "What country?" They just arrive at the bar and they just park right outside it and walk and mission. Like, I don't know.
But do you think that that's what you're missing out of that scene? Like, there's a lot of people like you, and the idea that they want to see like, well, how did he know it was there? It's like, I'm sure there was some baseline conversation about where they were going. They just didn't put it to film because it's fucking boring in real life. Why would it suddenly be exciting in space?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. You have to make decisions in the edit bay, Mick. It's like,
Why?
well, hold on.
Not?
There's a gunfight 3/4 of the way through this episode. Yeah, but we don't see how the Mandalorian got the address to go to the bar in Tatooine. Oh shit, we really got to put that one to paper.
And he never stops to take a piss.
And another thing.
You know what? The only thing I hate about Mandalorian was Luke's whatever. This spoiler. The only
Go ahead, fuck it.
you don't want to hear this, skip ahead 10 minutes and then just like the thing. Luke Skywalker CGI. How fucking bad was the Luke Skywalker CGI? The face app where Mick Thomas puts himself in all those movies is
I disagree.
than the technology that we saw in The Mandalorian. That's all I'm gonna say.
I disagree. I thought it looked good. You know what movie ruined it for me,
His
though?
eyes didn't close, Rooney. His eyes never close.
Why would he close? He's a Jedi. They just
blinks.
insta moisture.
You see him do this. Like you see a squint and you're like,
Imagine in doing this for The Mandalorian, they go through all of Mark Hamill's footage, and at one point the guy goes, "I've been through 6 hours of footage. I've never seen him blink." They're like, "Oh my God, really? No one noticed that in the first 8 films?" Like, no, he never blinks. Like, all right, well, leave it in there.
He's a fucking machine, this Mark Hamill.
But I hated that in Captain America. That's what kind of ruined Captain America for me, was that stupid little CGI head on top of Chris Evans' body.
Oh, yeah.
That was horrible. Chris Hamill, I was too excited anyway. I was like, whatever. This could be, if they had gone, I don't know. It looked fine. I was fine with it.
Okay.
It was a Jedi tearing apart like an entire base of stormtroopers. It was fantastic.
I mean, we could use this into a segue, but I really kind of yesterday just figured that, and I'm not a calendar guy, but hang on a second, I'm getting these pop-ups, but fucking like, I just think 2020 was ruined because of Wonder Woman.
Wait.
It can't be that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Australia lost 500 million animals, and that's not as bad as Wonder Woman 2.
I forgot about that. I forgot about all the Australian animals.
Didn't that feel like it was like 7 years ago?
It started right away. It was like 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year.
No more kangaroo.
What's going on over there?
There's still a week left in 2020, man. I'm still waiting to see how this shit plays out.
Oh man, are you excited about the stimulus check we're not getting?
Oh, fucking hell.
I can't keep up with it. We're getting it. We're not getting it. It's more money, less money.
I feel like by the time I'm eligible to get one, I will no longer be eligible to get one. That's how I feel. Not that I'm rich, but like, you know what I mean? Like by that point, they'll be like, well, you make more than minimum wage, therefore you do not get the bonus, check.
Oh, is that true?
No, that's 75 grand. If you make more than 75 grand, you don't get it. In 2019, if you make more than 75 grand, you don't get it.
What a bunch of cunts.
Yeah.
All of them.
Us 3 millionaires, we can't tell you how
They
much.
could say if you make more than 75,000 in the last 10 years, you can't get it. I'd still get it.
Oh, good.
Like, send it my way. I'll take
like,
Apparently,
Oh.
I had this check to Rooney.
You had 9 months to figure something out, right? This has been on 9 months.
No, they had no initiative to. The problem is that right now, and I'm not going to make this a political discussion.
Here we go.
They had no reason to. And now you're walking into a Georgia election where you have Republicans being voted in and out. You'd imagine they'd be like, we have to make everyone happy, so let's do this. And then Trump, I would argue this is a little bit of posturing, is saying, no, it has to be at least 2,000. And now the Republicans are like, well, we're not going to do that. So I think what's going to happen is Trump's not going to let it pass under his watch. So it has to pass under Biden's watch. And then they can go, look, you raised taxes and spent money and whatever. That's what I kind of think is going to happen.
Here's what I put this thing up the other day too, and someone was messaging me like, "Oh, you're a closet Trump fan." And like, first of all, if I was a fan of anyone, I wouldn't be a closet fucking fan about it. I would just be tell you who I am. And I hate all the fuckers. I don't like politicians. I think local politics, I kind of have an interest in that. Not as an interest I'm going to run, but I think they can do, because I know people
lose.
Oh, by landslide.
Oh, you cunts! You can't.
Just vote, you cunts. But I know of people who own like gyms and stuff that their local politician was able to help them out, right? So that's kind of what I like. But I put this thing up when Trump said he was going to give $2,000 instead of $6,000. And it all came from me actually talking to someone about it, and who was a Biden supporter. And they're like, yeah, but I mean, you know, I was like, you couldn't even say, oh, that'd be nice if he did that. Like, that's how fucked up people are with politics.
Right. I think people treat it as a team sport. Look, I don't like Trump, but I'm not of the, I hope all the bad things in the world happen to Trump camp. I just think it's lazy. But I would argue the reason he's saying 2,000 is because he knows it's not going to pass. I agree that it should be at least 2,000. I do. I'm not even going to, I 100% think Americans could use it. Every time we get that money, it goes right back into the system. It's not like everyone just hoards $2,000.
I didn't know I was doing a podcast with the socialist, but go ahead.
I am. I don't give a fuck. You can think whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But I agree. The money goes back in the system, so theoretically, you're kind of only really investing X amount of dollars. But I think that I agreed with it. I'm not going to fight Trump for saying 2,000 should be $2,000. I think that there are people who go, no, fuck Trump, because they feel like they have to. But I am also aware that he's doing it because he's posturing. I don't believe for 1 second he could sign the executive order to mandate it if that's how he really felt about it.
I just wish he was posturing like 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Right?
You know
where was his posturing before the election? That's how.
To me, this is like the end of his presidency, and he's like, "Let me get the last few like good articles written, maybe, or like a couple books before I'm out of here."
When I run in 2024, I want to make sure that everyone knew how I stood at the end. But I'm also like, I don't know if that's the liberal in me or the cynic in me, and I think it's the cynic in me. I don't believe it's the liberal in me, because I think if Biden was like, it has to be 2,000. It's like, then fucking push for it. Like, what do you like? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would be more. I just hate everybody. But
I can't wait to see. And I'm kind of with Mick, where I kind of hate all these. I don't really trust any politician for the most part. But I'm already starting to see all these things Biden's rolling back now that he's going to be in office. Like, it's getting more and more like he's like, all right, no one's going to take it away from me. He's like, yeah, I don't know about student debt, guys. Might be, you know. All these
a little
things
harder than I thought.
Take care of. It's like probably not going to happen. It's like when Obama got elected. Like, Obama was like, legalization of marijuana is like very important. Then someone asked him about it after he got elected, and he was like, "Yeah, well, we'll see about that," and like laughed it off.
Well, the college one, the student loans one, to me, like, as a foreigner who comes from a country where you don't pay for education, I would get into arguments with my wife's family, like legit arguments when I moved here first. And they're like, I'll fucking say it, I don't care, but they're very uppity dudes and you know, they got enough.
Uppity dudes.
Jeez. Mick,
you married into a bunch of uppity dudes.
Well, I don't want this podcast canceled. Please don't use the U word on the show.
This is not a hate speech podcast. All right.
It's the Y word. The Y is silent, but all right, then. That's me hanging out with uppity dudes. Anyway, so, and we'd have that conversation because they're from Ivy League schools and all that stuff, right? And I always had the conversation, like, if you're going to be a lawyer, right? So let's say you two right now, you both want to be lawyers, and Dan decides to go to Suffolk County College, right, which is a local community college on Long Island. And Rooney says, I'm going to go to Harvard. Now, the law is the law, right? Like, you can't, the better school doesn't change the law for you. But why should Rooney spend, I'm making numbers up because I've never been to college like that, where Rooney spends $120,000 a year for the same education, for the same law, which is law, and Dan spends $3,000 a year. Again, I'm making up a very low number. But the law is the law, right? The knowledge is in the books. Why is Rooney paying $120,000 when Dan's only paying $3,000 for the same education? For what?
Resume. It's the resume.
But
Like,
isn't that totally wrong? Like, isn't
yes,
that?
I agree. I completely agree, because I'll tell you a true story. I had, when I was going to school, when I first picked out my colleges, the two colleges I narrowed it down to that were somewhat close to me were SUNY New Paltz and a school called Manhattanville College. Manhattanville College is a private school, and it was about $10,000 more per year than SUNY New Paltz was. I got the presidential scholarship, so I took half of that. At the end of the day, it was between New Paltz and Manhattanville, and they were just about the same. At the end of the day, I went to New Paltz because I just happened to prefer that town. I then picked
there once.
Yeah, it's a great town. There's great restaurants there. It's fun.
The hippie town. That's why you went.
What's that? You say Poontang? Which is
I say it's a hippie town. That's why you went pothead. Go ahead.
Big pothead Dan Barry.
Not a very uppity do town.
Old uppity do Dan Barry.
Sorry, go ahead then.
So I got a job at Regis and Kelly, live at Regis and Kelly in the city. And I was an intern. And the three people who worked next to me were all from Manhattanville College. The reason that I got the job is because what was on my resume, not because of the school I went to. I had already worked at like Woodstock Film Festival. I did a whole bunch of things to like get to that point. So when I got the internship, it was like, oh, this guy's like ready to roll. They got it because they went to Manhattanville College. So I had to work twice as hard to get that position. Now, that's not to say at the end of the day, none of us worked hard. I'm not putting down Manhattanville College. Sure. But the fact of the matter is that I had to do more to get the same job because I went to a state school and they went to a private school. My brother went to Yale because he went to Yale for divinity school as a priest. Basically, it's like, oh my God, he went to Yale. It's like, great. It's like,
you can go to Yale to be a priest.
I was just thinking in my head, I wasn't faulting. I was like, holy
Episcopalian.
shit.
Episcopalian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Episcopalian.
That's like the Jill Biden doctor thing. It's like, yeah, I went to jail, but like now I diddle kids. Anyway.
What?
Nothing. Not your brother. Not your brother. No.
I was like, wait a second. You can't just say that.
You can't say that about my brother.
That's actually.
He did his time.
Yeah, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like he went to school to Yale. I went to New Paltz. Like, if you were to talk to two of us, I would argue we sound almost the same. But if we have a conversation, if Brian decided not to become a priest and he decided to do something else, if he went to a place, me apply for the same job, and his said Yale and mine said State University of New York at New Paltz, I wouldn't get the job. I think state college
depends on the job.
What's that?
I think it depends on the job.
Yeah, true.
It was like custodian. They might be like, we're not going to hire a preacher to be a custodian in our preschool, sir.
That's hacky stereotype. That's not nice.
Oh, comedy stereotypes, though.
the way I look at it, though, if I have a law firm and I'm interviewing both of you guys, and I'm like, Dan went to the Suffolk County, the community college, and Rooney went to Harvard, I'm like, there's a good chance that Rooney guy, based on the school he went to, paid off a bunch of people because of that stripper he killed. That's not a community college move. That's an Ivy League guy.
But any of those big colleges, any of those Ivy Leagues, any of those, they have more money to attract better professors. That's just a statement of fact. Like, you have a lot of professors. If you go to like your Harvards, whatever, they're going to make more money being a professor there. They're published, they're authors there. They have like a lot of work behind them that shows how good they are at the position. I argue that I went to Nassau Community College first, and then I went to New Paltz. I got a better education by doing that because I went to school to learn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, my goal when I went to college, I went to college later. My goal was to get a degree. I didn't go to college to go to college. So I think the reason I was successful and I did as well as I did was simply because I worked hard. That's it. I would argue that with these Ivy League schools, a lot of times the work hard is getting there, and then the workload is hard. So they probably don't have the extracurriculars that I had to have to get the job, but they probably had to put in a deeper workload, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but again, like, I mean, and the law thing I have is a good example, I think. I mean, I agree with you, like, for medicine, right? So some doctors might take a chance on doing something different that another, so you could learn something different from a much better doctor or a mechanic or an engineer but I just think when law is, you don't learn a different version of the law. The law,
right? But you can learn trial law. You can learn there's different types of law. There's business law. There's prosecutorial law. Like there's a variety of different laws you can learn, right? But it's also the tools that are giving you to learn it. So if you want to be a trial lawyer, you might get better trial. Like, if you go to any school of business, right? If you decide I'm going to go to school of business, you can look at all the different schools of business and go, this school is better rated to do this than this school. You know what I mean? Like there's little, it's not like one broad stroke of education in America, tragically. It's basically like they're specializing in different places.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch a movie like a movie, law, and then but just watch it and go like, I'd be a good one of those.
Always. I think any comedian thinks that could be a good one.
Yeah. Any Matthew McConaughey movie where he's a lawyer, I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, look at this idiot. I could do this.
I mean, how many stories have you heard about people teaching themselves to be a lawyer in jail to then free their brother or themselves or whatever? It's like, I could do that.
One.
I just don't have the motivation. I don't have a loved one in jail innocently.
Yeah, I'm not in jail. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to
I'm like, if I was in jail, I'd be like, all right, I'll hit the books. But otherwise, no.
No, but I watched 3 accidental like things that were all about the law. Like I watched the short series on HBO, John Adams, which is really good.
It's a good
and how he freed like these English soldiers, and then I watched Amistad with Matthew McConaughey, and then I watched A Time to Kill Matthew McConaughey, and I'm like, yeah, I could definitely free all those people. I could help them.
I think every guy has this problem. I think it's a community. Every guy in the world is like, yeah, I can fucking do that. Like, I always say, like, me and Mick, at one point in our careers aside, we were going to try and create a TV show where we say we can learn anything in a day. We can learn any job in a day, and we could do it. That was the whole idea. And we had pitched, and we did like a sizzle reel that went nowhere. And it
got stolen.
What's that?
It got stolen.
Oh, good. Even better. So that was the goal. We wanted to pitch.
Even took the name. Remember that?
We glossed over that the sizzle reel got.
No. We did this show. We did this show, and it was about like Dan said, 2 regular guys because we got the idea from how many times that people come up to you after a show like, oh, I could do a comedy, or you should hear my husband, he could do that, right? So that's what we call the show. I Can Do That. We filmed the first me because everyone thinks he could be a wrestler, right? Because it's like that's fake. And that was the idea.
Had access to a building, and obviously
we did a sizzle reel. I got beat up by a wrestler, and then we pitched it and it didn't buy it. We call the show I Can Do That, right? A year later on another network, they had a show called I Can Do That with the very same premise with D-list celebrities, and it was like Penn and Teller, I think, were the host of it maybe. And you go up, you did it on a stage about I want to be a magician, like, and I was like, that's our fucking show. That was what our show was.
The idea really stemmed from me from like, you ever meet somebody, everyone in Long Island has met somebody like this at some point where it's like, oh, I could have played pro baseball, but there's always that weird but. Yeah. Well, like for me, like my thing was like, I think I could have been a pretty decent baseball player if I ever learned how to hit. That's like my, like, when I talk about baseball, like I liked baseball, I was good at it, except hitting. So therefore I wasn't good at fucking baseball, right? Like there's
if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
Yeah. Shit, wheels should be a wagon. So that was the idea behind it. But like, I think every man in the world has this idea in their head that like all it would take, and then they list off like some crazy, like, I was in school, like if I just applied myself, I could have been. It's like, yeah, but you fucking didn't, and now you do what you do. That's it. Right. There's no.
Everyone's where they're supposed to be, unfortunately, for some.
Yeah. Some people, like, you ever meet somebody who like, you're like, yeah, like you've peaked. You've done nothing, but you've peaked. Like, this is as good as you're going to get. Like,
you could turn it into a sine curve, but let's be honest, probably not. Probably a parabola, forever and ever.
This is it. You are on the top of the hill, and now's your time to coast down into catastrophic death. And that's it. You don't have to worry about it.
I would look at Navy SEAL movies. You know what I mean? And like the Hell Week, not the combat aspect of it, but the Hell Week. I'm like, yeah, I would like to give that a go. But at least I'm very like honest with myself. I'm like, all right, I could do that. But then like you asked me to stay up all night and stay my feet in the water. I'm like, no, forget it. I'm done. What?
Mick, get yelled at by somebody who's your superior. You would fucking cripple yourself trying to kill them. Like, stop. Like the baseline.
I can't imagine getting yelled at and taking it well.
That's what, when I was a kid, when I was younger, like I had relatives who were like, you shouldn't enlist in the military because you need that level of discipline. And in hindsight, They were 1000% correct. I needed discipline. I was a fucking loose cannon, right? But at that time, if I had a guy screaming at me to do push-ups, I would tell him to fuck himself, and then I'd be in the fucking bunkers being in such deep shit because I was the guy who was like, fuck you, I'm not doing push-ups. Like, that's who I was, and it wouldn't have mattered. So,
that's like a special kind of stupid, though, the type of person who goes to like basic training and mouths off or thinks they're going to be the guy to like posturize and stuff.
They're always from New York. So it's always those people. Those people with no respect for the military, but
there must be a few from New Jersey. But yeah, I could see a lot of New Yorkers feeling that way.
Go ahead.
I would just like, I'm like, if they're screaming at me, like, well, you could ask nice. I'll still do it.
Yeah, like I'll do it. You get more flies with sugar than vinegar, man.
Yeah, if you had said, come on, Mick, give me 25 push-ups, I was like, you know what? I did let him down. I better do something.
Go kill that man. A please wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
What was that in Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
Please would be nice.
Please would be nice.
Would
you just say to me?
But I think the reason I say it's from New York mostly is because like every person who went to the military that I knew, there's not every person, I'll say a grand amount of them. When they come back, it's like, why are you home? It's like, oh, I got discharged. Why? It's like, oh, it's like always something.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle me. I was too real for the military.
Yeah, they said, they were saying like they were worried I was gonna kill somebody. It's like, shut up. No, they weren't.
They were worried I was gonna kill somebody. Isn't that the most bullshit hilarious?
Oh, yeah, so there's my favorite Long Islandism. So
they're bringing you and hoping you're gonna kill somebody.
They give you a gun and train you how to use it, dipshit.
Give me a gun. I was like, keep your fucking gun. I got these.
Yeah. They were gonna drop me off in fucking Iraq with just my fists, and I was gonna kill everyone. It's like, okay.
They said that if they finished giving me full basic training, I was a liability to the federal government.
I'd be a lethal weapon, and if I got into a fight and killed somebody, it's like,
yeah.
What?
Oh, Rambo was based on me. What?
Yeah. Dude, Mick, you've seen this person. I know you have. The same people are the ones who go like, yo, everybody I have is a fucking cop. It's like those assholes where it's like, oh, my best friend's the fucking lead detective in Suffolk County. It's like,
right.
You think he wouldn't arrest you? You think he'd lose his job because you got drunk and fucking decided to pick a fight with somebody? There was a guy I went to school with who became a cop, and then like 2 weeks before fall graduation, went to a bar, got drunk, punched the security guard. He's like, do something. I'm a fucking cop. And so the fucking police, the Nassau County cop, showed up to the bar and like, this guy's calling himself a cop. And they looked, he goes, he's still in training. Like, yo, arrest him. Lost his whole job. He lost literally like 2 weeks away from being a fucking police officer.
Well, you know what's kind of fucked up is he's 2 weeks away from getting away with it, really.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
all right, we'll get him out of here.
Yeah,
that's your soundbite. Rooney just got his soundbite.
Yeah, fucking use it too. I don't care.
I didn't know I was on a show with the socialists. Jeez.
See, that's the problem about my feelings and my leanings, like morally, politically, all that shit, is that the funnier sides are not the things I feel. So you got to say them, and then you get labeled as like the other side, the wrong side, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be labeling anyway, and then it just all falls down.
But isn't that what's messed up like that? That's your honest to God opinion, right? And now the majority of people I speak to are not smart people. They're not thinkers, right?
The majority of people aren't smart people.
That's what I mean. Like, but Rooney, like, is a thinker. He's an educated person. Now, he just said what he said, and if people disagree with him, like, he's almost not allowed to have that opinion because it's different from mine, not me.
No one's allowed to have an opinion. Like, to me, I think the thing that we've all lost touch of is nuance. Like, there's nuance to every argument, and you can say, whatever you want to say, whatever you believe, but if you're not like hard lined in either direction, it's like, what a fucking idiot. What are you, an idiot? And then they'll immediately label you as being like, if you're even, so let's just say you're far right, but you lean slightly left on one issue. It's like, well, now you're a socialist. And it's you're losing nuance. And I think that both sides think that their position is 100% right. And I think that that's where we're losing all of our battles, is because everything's being fought in the middle, and compromise is how this all works. But I will do this all day. So I'm
there's no nuance, Dan. All right, it's black or white, dog.
No, but even like what we've
what
lost.
about the other races?
Yeah,
It's Rooney.
Oh no, I meant like metaphorically black.
Oh,
and
is that what you meant? Oh, okay.
Also, what I think
New soundbite.
another one. What we've lost is though, and you always use this as an example, is remember the movie American History X?
Oh, your favorite movie?
It's not one of my favorite movies.
The
But
documentary.
Yeah, your documentary about Mick Thomas.
but the scene in it where he's at the
backpedaling.
no, something fell on my lap. But the scene where he's at the kitchen table and he's arguing he's a full-on racist, right? And he's arguing his point, but he's very educated about it. Now he goes too far. Like the conversation, he comes to a cliff and jumps off it. But when he's having this intellectual conversation with a guy, a part you can go, even though I don't agree with him, but a part is like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
And then of course he fucking starts flashing swastikas like a scumbag. But up until that point, you're like, he's having an educated discussion of why he feels that way, right? But if you could not make that movie now because he wouldn't be allowed to get that.
I disagree with that. Everyone says that you can't make something now, right? Like,
well, I'm talking about the networks wouldn't get behind you. That's what I'm saying. The networks wouldn't.
It might be a tougher sell. It might be a tougher sell.
I think people think American History X was like everyone was like right behind it when it got pitched. It fucking wasn't. Like, it was
probably very hard to get made.
Yeah, it was a very hard movie to get made, and it was like people latching on to like an Edward Norton who was coming off of a pretty big rise as a star, being like, I'm willing to play this character because I disagree with.
I thought he was on the way up from that. I didn't know he was as big.
No, he had done. He did a couple movies like Primal Fear. He had done before this.
Did he? I didn't know. Yeah.
But you can totally hear someone saying now, like, any sort of normalizing of a Nazi or humanization of a Nazi, they're like, no. I could see them just being like, I'm sure it was a hard movie to get made, but I do agree with Mick where I think it would be even harder to get made now.
They won't make a buddy cop movie now. Do you understand?
I think we're done with buddy cop movies, but if I can be honest, like, if there's one good thing that came out of this movie, it's like, okay, maybe no more fucking buddy cop movies because I'm kind of sick of it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm of the ilk where it's like the well is never dry. There could be some good buddy cop movies to be made, and that's not part of the police reform that I want to see. All right, I want the buddy cop to come out.
More guns, more cops. With those,
more buddy cop movies. Kevin Smith's buddy cop movie should have been really good. I'm still upset about it.
The what?
Kevin Smith's buddy cop. You remember he did that buddy cop movie with Bruce Willis and
I don't know that one.
I'm drawing a blank. Tracy Morgan.
Oh, the one with Kevin Smith.
It should have been great.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think you can't. Now, if you mention something that people don't agree with, you're done. Like, they just don't want to. Like, nobody. Like,
I think that people look. It's easy for someone to say like so and so's canceled, right? Like, there are people now who are like, this person's canceled, and then you look and it's like they're still getting a lot of love on social media. Like, they're still the same people. Like, I think that there are certain things, if you're willing to make a statement, right? I think we've had this conversation in the green room before. I believe in freedom of speech, but at that point, it's whatever you say is whatever happens. Like, you have to be willing to go, like, I have to be okay with people telling me to fucking kill myself after that. Like, there's always, the minute it's spoken, you are willing to put yourself out there and go, I'm okay that this is what's going to happen to me afterwards. Now, you could say from your perspective, like, I'm someone who believes this. Like, I believe that Black Lives Matter is very important, but I also am not anti-cop. There is that argument that has been made, and people can say, like, you can't be both or whatever. It's like, yeah, I can. And whatever happens at this point is whatever happens. I'm just going to say it. I think the fear exists in the people who speak. It's up. People go, I don't want to get in any of that water. And the minute I do that, I'm going to have to, quit my job, whatever. Most of the people who have been quote unquote canceled are not really canceled. They're fine. People who say things that they probably shouldn't say. People who get canceled, like a Louis C.K., he didn't get canceled because of things he said. He got canceled because of what he did. And I think that that's where, as long as you're not like a super racist, you're pretty much okay.
Mild racist, you'll be fine. But super racist, pull it back a little bit.
Is a super racist? You got to have a costume, like you go all out.
I thought Wonder Woman was a super racist.
A funny way to say super racist, but we're afraid our videos get pulled off YouTube again.
Why did we get pulled off YouTube the first time?
I think I just didn't verify the account, if I can be honest, because it's up there now. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought we said something. I was like, already?
Yeah, I didn't. We made fun of David Bowie for being a Nazi, but I don't think that was actually.
We made fun of his coat, to be honest.
Yeah, that's all we did. We made fun of his style of dress.
Yeah, the Nazi coat. But I don't know, man. Like I just, just to abandon that conversation. But I just think I've never been, like I said earlier, I tried to say earlier, I've never been a calendar guy, right? So what I mean is like people are like, well, on Monday, I'm going to start doing, I'm like, you do it now. You don't have to wait for a day to start. So when people say, oh, 2021 is going to be like 2020 sucked, I just think everything that happened, we set it up ourselves. Like we tolerated everything. And because of that, a landslide happened and a domino effect of us just being fucking weak made everything worse.
Does that make sense? I think that if anything, the weaknesses are showing when people who no, I have to see my mom on Christmas. Like, even if I don't care if I can get COVID or she can get COVID, I have to see my mom. Like, that's weak to me. That's a weakness.
That I agree with.
I think that if anything, we had the whole argument of I'm willing to write off family members for not agreeing with me. I would argue that this year has kind of like started to eliminate that, because now it's like, well, now I can't see them and now I miss them. It's different when you decide you're not going to see someone. It's
right.
Like, this is being told like you don't get to see grandma this year because it's her last year. It might be her last year if you see her. Right. I don't know. I personally, I was really happy not to see a lot of people this year. That was my personal, like, it's a hacky fucking joke, but like the throwing birthday gifts out of a window of a car, like this is the best version of birthdays I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll have to sit here and talk to you for fucking 3 hours. Like, this is best.
I mean, I don't get invited to, like, I think most of my family knows at this point not even to bother inviting me to stuff like that, because I'm just not.
I started in 2019, actually. Real weird.
I've been living 2020 for years in a way, but the small holiday gatherings I do like. I do hate the pressure and the stress and the travel on holidays. So just, even though I know I made the joke earlier about like Christmas Eve, we're not doing shit, but like it was nice for Christmas Day. It was just my immediate family. We ate some food, we played some cards, and then I went home. Like, it didn't have to be a huge ordeal.
Yeah.
That being said, 2021 is going to be my year. I'm going to get funny. I'm going to lose weight starting January 1st.
I'm shaving my head Wednesday with the goal that I can't cut my haircut until I lose 15 pounds. That's what I'm.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm shaving my head Wednesday.
As in like razor, like all the
not
way?
buzz. I can't do razor. I have too many scars. It looks awful. I've gotten real low.
You should do it. I want to see that. Dan Barry's going to look like a villain.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of do to some people, but
you have a good head for that, though. I can't go buzz.
I definitely.
No, it's a round head. Mine's an egg. I can't.
When I shave my head, it's probably gonna take my barber most of his afternoon. I have an enormous fucking head.
Dan's got a big noggin, but it suits him. If Dan shaved his head, I think it would suit him. I think if you shaved the head and kept like the beard.
Oh, the beard's staying because
you'd be like a tough looking dude. Like, I know you are a tough dude, but now you'd look the part.
I never look like a tough dude.
If Mick shaved his head, he would look like an albino string bean.
Yeah, you look like you were dying of something.
Yeah, I'd be like, "What's
his hair is attached to the hat?"
Yeah, you have like the ball, like the bald in the middle spot.
I'm all patchy and bald and comb overs. This is just like his style. No, I got a good head of hair. I'm happy with my good head of hair.
Yeah, you have a good head of hair. I think
I'm all right.
He has a good head of hair. I have the receding hairline, so I just I'm like, whatever. I'll just shave it. Who gives a shit? I'm gonna look like either somebody could beat you up or somebody who writes for a liberal newspaper. Like that's the way it always looks for me. There's never a middle ground. Like I'm either well, my uncle writes for the New York Times, but I'm either a writer for the New York Times or I'm a guy who will headbutt you if you disagree or you cut me in line. That's pretty much what it's gonna be.
Have you had any COVID experiences in public of people trying to cut you in line or anything crazy like that? Any like people losing it in public?
I had one person who said, I'm not wearing my fucking mask. And my response was, gee, buddy, save some pussy for the rest of us. And nobody appreciated it.
No, but it went nowhere? Did you look around and be like, yeah, right?
I just said it like I said it, but I said
knows.
Like, you know when I say something incredibly deadpan and you just kind of like look at me like, what the fuck? Like it was literally like, wow, buddy, save some pussy for the rest of us. And he's just like looked at me like, what the fuck?
This was in like a public library. They were actually more upset with Dan for saying that than
yeah,
for the
yeah.
guy.
I was in a kindergarten class and they were like, what the fuck? You can't just say that to me. Worst part is he was 7. I don't even know why I said it.
Comedians have that where I would do it all the time, like in public, very, very Larry David. Like I say what's on my mind, and you say it so fast and so confident that people go, "Well, there's no way he said what I thought he said, so I'm obviously wrong." I think comedians have a ability to get away with that.
I'm confrontational. If I think you're being a cunt or I think you're being a bully, I'm gonna go after you. I just feel like I have to because it's just look like I might get the shit kicked out of me. I don't want to make it seem like I'm a tough guy. I'm not coming into this with this idea of like I'm gonna beat somebody up. That's not it at all. I just feel like if they're being rude to somebody else, I'll say something so they look at me. Right. I can take you screaming at me, and I'll do this all day. And if you do fight me, I'll fight you back. Whoever wins wins. This isn't me being like I'm gonna beat the shit out of people. But it's more like I don't like the idea of somebody being aggressive towards somebody else. I feel very uncomfortable in those scenarios. So I feel the urge to be like, nah, fuck you. And then like, it's like a whole thing.
Especially when they're giving out to the staff. I hate to see people giving out to the staff when like 99% of the time, it's like, that's not that person's fault or problem even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deep down, they don't give a shit.
Yeah. That's a story I told.
They don't give a shit. And nor should they. For $10 an hour.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying for $10 an hour, they shouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But also, I think that like, hey, like my store managed you have to wear a mask. Like you see those videos of people like, I'm not wearing a fucking mask. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, do you think this person wants to spend their day telling you to wear a mask? No, they want to just fucking go home and not get COVID. Like, just fucking do your part. What is this? Everyone is fucking so put upon. It's a whole thing.
I don't know what masks these people are wearing where it's such a hindrance to them. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, if you
I think of like Leonardo DiCaprio and the Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, that guy made it. He made it like 20 years of that fucking thing on. You
gotta put it on every day, like clank, 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 fucking milk, fucking clank, clank, clank.
I've told the story. I do the story on stage, and I've told the story before about when this all happened, and there was a woman on the plane who was being rude to staff.
Yeah,
I just went after her, and it's because I felt like. You're yelling at like a 60-year-old woman who literally found out as you were getting off the plane that you were getting off the fucking plane. Like she had no idea. She is not inside of Trump's cabinet. She doesn't know fucking anything about this shit. And you're screaming at her like it's her fault. And it's like, look, we have to get your bags off the plane. It's going to take about 2 hours to get your bags off the plane. How the fuck can it take that long? It's like, well, they don't know which fucking bags are yours. They didn't put them in the fucking plane with the idea that half of us would be getting off the fucking plane. So you have to sort through the fucking bags. These people are working overtime now to make sure that you get your shit so you can go home. Like maybe don't be such a fucking dick to them. And like that's where I was like, maybe it's like the blue collar person to me is like, no, you're not gonna fucking talk to someone who's making like $35,000 a year and tell them they're a piece of shit. Like,
were you bullied in high school or any school? Yeah. That's where that is. I was bullied. So I'm like you to the point where I don't go to that level. I go after the industry, right? As in, like, if I'm in a supermarket and they're going to make me pay for like whatever, like there's the Stop and Shop or the shop right by me, right? I have to ask them for a bag, like, and I go and they will hoard the bags, and I will say to her like, who hurt you? Who hurt you with bags? You got to keep them. Like I'll go after people that way.
Yeah,
and I will stick up to people to an extent like that. But I think that comes from we were bullied, and we now something clicked that we look at the like complaining like that as a form of bullying, and it is a form of bullying. Like I'll get up and my chest will come out and I'll posture and I'll fucking yell at you. I'm like, no, you doing it to the wrong person, bitch. I'll smack the shit out of you.
Yeah, like
I've seen him do it. I've seen Mick assault a female at the supermarket.
Yeah, especially an elderly woman who's complaining.
Elderly woman trying to remember the code for bananas, and Mick's just like, make it happen.
The guy in front of him online, the big dude in front of him online, did the same thing. He said nothing. He saw one 4 aisles down to him, beat the shit out of her.
See, I'll say this real quick though about the bags, because I have mixed feelings about the bags of the supermarket thing, but. A lot of the times I bet the managers of those stores, because I have experience in like retail and food service, still do. And like, it's easy when the boss is like, you cannot give out bags, or like, you can give out bags. It's when they come at you and they're like, try not to give out any bags. Because then they got to play this game of like, now they're like trying not to. And then at the end of the day, if they give out too many, then it's like, what are you doing? I told you not to give out too many bags. It's like, yeah, but you didn't give me any hard lines. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But the bags are there though, right? Like just leave them there and let me take what do you think I'm doing? That's my point. Like, and it's the only ShopRite that does it.
If you ask for them.
It's the only ShopRite that does it, right? And this is when these are the paper bags that you don't have to pay for, right? So now I have to go, can I get a bag? Here's what happened one day, right? This was the day I had my son with me, and first time I was embarrassed to kind of let him see that side of me because I'm not like that, right? And I walked up, and a girl came over. And,
Mick.
no, it wasn't even Karen. I wasn't complaining to her. I just went, can I get a bag, please? And I had a bunch of groceries, and she goes, how many do you need? And I go, you look at that and you tell me. I went, 46. And she goes, what? I goes, yeah, give me 46 bags, and what I don't use, I'll hand right back to you. So now she's like, it looks like 3 bags. I see, that's the point. If you leave the bags there, I can just fucking take them as I need them. That's it. That's all.
Or you could also take way too many, though. Let me ask you a question, Mick. Let me ask you a question. How many stolen napkins you got in your glove box right now, you piece of shit?
Yeah,
I can't move down in this basement, wall to wall napkins.
I used to steal toilet paper from restaurants.
You're a monster.
Before I would leave.
Single ply. I don't want big wall toilet paper. I want shitty single ply toilet paper that I can steal at home and have to go through twice as much of to clean my butt.
You know what I'll still steal? If I see some good ones, you ever go to like a nice hotel and they got like the good folded paper towels that are like microfiber cottony and they feel like a real towel almost?
Steal paper towels.
You don't steal things? You got to start stealing, bro.
No. First off,
my thing that I used to do, this is a true story. My thing I used to do was I used to like to litter. Now I know that's disgusting, right? When I paid my price for it, everybody. So listen, I would drive on I'll tell you, I would drive on the Southern State Park. I just want to have my own car before I was in the accident. And I had a bag, right? Full of I was traveling with Chris Roach, and that fat cunt just fucking just keeps putting candy wrappers and sweets into
I can confirm that. Chris Roach leaves a lot of garbage in your car when he exits.
And I remember just driving, and I would roll the window down and go boom, out the window, right? On the middle of a parkway. So there's one time I'm driving home, and in the bag, there's a Snapple bottle, a glass Snapple bottle, right? So I'm driving along, and I roll down the window, and I fuck it out. Well, I hear this massive smash. I roll down the back window by mistake. And I smashed the bag with the Snapple bottle, and it fucked up my window. I was like, you know what? I'm never going to litter ever again.
Yeah, you deserve that.
I deserve it. I learned my lesson. It was like Scrooge again. I learned my lesson.
No longer will I ever question horror movies where the birds fly into windows. I'm like, how could they be so stupid? Mick Thomas is throwing Snapple glass bottles at a window 2 feet away from himself.
Yeah, next to a really big guy who definitely fogged up that window right while he was sitting there.
Yeah, Roach is still in the seat. Mick's just whipping garbage past his face.
Oh, hey, buddy.
But so I mean, are we time to wrap it up almost?
I have no idea.
Where are we at?
Yeah, we probably could wrap up.
So what I want to go is, instead of talking about what was shitty in 2020, again, I'm not a calendar guy, but what did you take away from this? What was good for you this year? Like that you're like so glad it happened. Like it's a good. I mean, it might not be. You might go still suffering, still struggling.
I mean, I play golf now.
You do. You do.
I do. I play golf now. That's really what has really come away from me as bettering myself. Is I'm like, I'm gonna play golf. Like that's really it.
Yeah, but you did that though, right? That you might not have done that under other circumstances. You might have been too busy now.
Yeah. Rooney?
I've been on a rough streak for a couple of years, but 2020, I've gotten a little bit better at saving money. But here's the thing, and I shouldn't say this in public, on a public forum. I'm good at saving money like cash, like stowing cash in places. I'm not great at like making the trip to the bank and making sure my account like accumulates.
Right.
But my transmission went on my car that I had just bought. I just bought this Honda CR-V in like July, 100,000 miles, supposed to be an excellent car. You can run the shit into the ground. Transmission went on it after like a couple months, brought it to the mechanic. Even the mechanic is like, never seen that happen before on a Honda CR-V, that low miles. So $2,500 extra, and I had all that cash. Like I had it. 1,000 of it was coins. I had to dump out my coin reserve this year. You ever have to do that? That's a sad day.
That's not a baller. I was going to ask you, did you have it all rolled up in tape and everything?
No, I spent 4 hours one day counting out coins and singles.
Oh boy. Oh,
4 hours. And people were like, why don't you just go to the bank or go to CoinSaver? No, fuck that. They take like 7%.
not if you
bank
have an
don't.
account there. Not if you have an account
The
there.
banks don't. You can
Or
walk
they
up
do.
to one,
But I don't trust TD Bank though.
I
That
go
little
to Bethpage Federal.
they have a coin machine out front. Have they ever had any accusations of theft out of it? Because a lot of those coin machines have accusations of theft.
It's a credit union, man. It's kind of a weird scenario.
yeah, they're like a poor
I'll
person's
trust. I'll
bank.
count it. I'll
Yeah,
count
they're
it myself.
a nonprofit.
I'll count out my big 5-gallon change jar in my basement apartment.
Baller.
Yeah, while you're digging up your roll of singles that are in your backyard. It was the saddest day of my
And I
life.
didn't bring him. I brought him 20s and higher. I didn't bring him any low bills. I don't want people to think
I
I'm.
would have brought him fucking straight up 2,500 in singles.
Ugh.
You know, there was a case in Ireland when I worked in a bank. I wasn't at my branch. That someone turned up to pay their car loan in coin, and the bank's like, no, like loose coin, not rolled.
Yeah.
And the bank's like, no, and he's like, excuse me. He's like, no, we're not taking it. Like, all right. Came back next month again, same thing again. They're like, no, because can you put that in writing for me, please? Yeah, no problem. They tried to repossess his car. The guy sued him because you can't turn someone away.
It's legal
for handing
tender.
money. It's totally
Yep.
legal tender.
Yep.
So when you go to a bank and these fuckers go like, I'm not taking coin, let's just roll. He goes, no, yes, you are. Unless you're swapping it, you absolutely 100% have to.
Yep.
So I see Rooney like that, just walking in.
That's why parking meters should be able to take any denomination of money, but that's another conversation for another day.
I would argue our parking meter shouldn't exist. But yes, I agree with you. They don't improve the area where they put the parking meter. It's not like they make the pavement better. It's still in the same shitty spot. They still charge you to park there. Its idea is to reduce congestion in the area where they have the parking meters. I understand that. But all it does is charge poor people money who have to work in those areas. Anywho,
Isn't that what I just thought it was for the town to make money. I didn't think it was for like to control anything.
it's to control you. So yes, at the end of the day, same thing with red light tickets. It's designed to generate money, but the behind it is, well, if we charge people to park, they're less likely to drive their car in and they have to walk. They'll more likely use the public parking areas, which are away from the city center. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they do it. The actual reason is to make the tax, but the argument they make is that, and they always ends up affecting poor people. Poor people are the ones who always have to pay those fines because they're the ones who are doing all of the in-town shopping and parking their car in the city because they have to work around the corner. Like, it's never wealthy people who get affected by this. It's always the poor
Wealthy people don't have to go out and feed the meter ever.
Yeah, they don't. So, anywho,
Let's burn it all to the ground. Start
end
from
this-
scratch.
all right, this is another episode of the Socialist Regime, guys. Thank you so much. Subscribe to us. Hey, we take donations. If you want to send donations to our tip jar, you can tip us every month to listen to the show. All four of you. Dan Barry, Twitter, Instagram. Mick, what's yours?
Mick Thomas Comedy, also the host of my podcast, Cheaper Than Therapy.
Yeah, I'm tremendously awkward. Rooney, what do you got?
Dennis Rooney 7 on Instagram. Go check out Netflix Book Club. We're gonna have new episodes up soon, allegedly.
Apparently. All right, guys. Hey, that's it. Toodles.
Have a good one. Happy New Year, everyone.
Take care.